The attempted political assassination that unfolded over the past week, while not on the catastrophic scale of events such as the 1995 Oklahoma City bombing or the September 11th attacks, has nonetheless exposed deep fractures within American law enforcement leadership and raised pressing questions about institutional trust. At the center of this controversy is Kash Patel, a former Justice Department attorney who rose rapidly through the ranks of government and is now under heavy scrutiny for his conduct during this crisis. Leadership during moments of acute national stress is measured not by visibility or rhetoric, but by competence, judgment, and humility. Critics argue that Patel demonstrated none of these traits. His decision to remain at a restaurant dinner during the unfolding crisis was perceived as emblematic of misplaced priorities. Symbolism matters in national security. Just as President George W. Bush returning to Washington on September 11th conveyed resilience, so too do seemingly small choices by senior officials shape perceptions of readiness. Moreover, Patel's approach appeared more performative than operational. His presence at the crime scene was accompanied by cameras, social media posts, and press coverage that cast him, rather than the incident itself, at the center of attention. Such behavior stands in stark contrast to the ethos of the FBI and other federal agencies, where collaboration with state and local partners and discretion in public communication are cornerstones of effective crisis management. Compounding the leadership question is the abrupt removal of seasoned professionals. Special Agent in Charge Mab Say, widely respected for her experience in counterterrorism and past performance in complex crises, was reassigned without clear justification. Likewise, Brian Driscoll, head of the FBI's Critical Incident Response Group, an entity specifically designed to handle such emergencies, was no longer in his post at the critical moment. These removals have fueled suspicion that political considerations, rather than performance metrics, guided personnel decisions. The loss of experienced professionals in favor of leaders perceived as politically loyal but operationally untested is not unique to this moment. It reflects a broader tension in U.S. governance between political appointees and career civil servants. Historically, moments of national crisis have demonstrated the irreplaceable value of institutional memory. During September 11th, for example, career counterterrorism officials who had studied al-Qaeda for years provided the expertise that shaped immediate response strategies. By sidelining similar voices now, the government risks repeating past mistakes. Perhaps the most troubling dimension of Patel's handling was his apparent disregard for federal, state, local cooperation. Effective crisis response in the United States is predicated on the principle of unified command. The Utah Department of Public Safety underscored this point when it criticized Patel's unilateral push to release video footage from the crime scene without consensus from investigative partners. Their official statement emphasized that decisions must be made collectively, balancing investigative integrity with public safety. This public dispute undermines the perception of cohesion that is vital in moments of national insecurity. If the public witnesses federal officials contradicting state counterparts, confidence in the system's ability to protect citizens erodes. Terrorist organizations and hostile foreign actors historically have exploited such divisions. The lesson of Hurricane Katrina remains instructive. Blurred lines of authority and conflicting messages can magnify the impact of a crisis. Another unusual feature in the current FBI structure is the appointment of two deputy directors simultaneously. Analysts have noted that while not unprecedented in authoritarian contexts abroad, this layered oversight is highly irregular in American practice. The tactic appears designed to ensure no single deputy becomes too independent or popular within the workforce. While such arrangements may consolidate control, they come at the expense of clarity in leadership, morale, and the principle of apolitical service. The FBI, founded in 1908, has long cultivated a reputation as the gold standard of American law enforcement and intelligence. While not flawless, episodes such as COINTELPRO remain stains on its history. The Bureau has traditionally enjoyed public trust by emphasizing professionalism and accountability. to politicize leadership structures risks damaging an institution whose legitimacy depends on its perceived neutrality. Beyond leadership controversies, the assassination attempt highlights troubling social dynamics. The suspect, a young man in his early 20s, was neither a professional assassin nor a seasoned extremist. His clumsy attempt to escape and ultimate capture within 33 hours confirm this, yet his profile fits a recurring pattern. Disaffected young men, disconnected from social institutions, radicalized through online communities, and drawn to acts of political violence. This phenomenon blurs the line between terrorism and criminality. The Oklahoma City bomber Timothy McVeigh was similarly motivated by extremist ideology, but acted outside formal organizational structures. Today, the ubiquity of online platforms accelerates such radicalization. Unlike traditional recruitment, which required physical networks, digital spaces allow individuals to immerse themselves in echo chambers without geographic constraints. Equally significant is the political reaction to the suspect's identity. Some voices within the conservative movement expressed disappointment that the assailant came from within their own imagined community, rather than being a member of a religious, racial, or gender minority. This underscores a disquieting trend: the impulse to frame violence in terms of identity politics rather than ideology or individual pathology. The FBI, too, appeared initially inclined to search for an outsider, potentially slowing the investigation. Such biases risk distorting threat assessments and misallocating resources. The crisis reveals several urgent imperatives. First, leadership positions within the FBI and related agencies must prioritize competence and proven experience over political loyalty. History repeatedly demonstrates that professional expertise saves lives in times of crisis. Second, federal officials must recommit to cooperative frameworks with state and local partners. The principle of unified command is not bureaucratic formality, it is the backbone of effective response. Third, the nation must confront the rising trend of young men radicalized online. This requires not only law enforcement vigilance, but also societal interventions, education, digital literacy, and mental health support. Finally, political actors must resist the temptation to weaponize identity in the aftermath of violence. To do otherwise risks deepening polarization and distracting from the real challenge, preventing future acts of violence, whether they come from inside or outside perceived communities. The recent political assassination attempt was, in relative terms, a minor crisis, but it has laid bare critical vulnerabilities: fragile leadership at the top of the FBI, fraying cooperation across levels of government, and a social fabric increasingly strained by disconnection and online radicalization. Institutions such as the FBI cannot afford to be drawn into political gamesmanship, for their legitimacy is rooted in professionalism, not partisanship. America's security depends not only on preventing the next attack, but also on preserving trust in the institutions designed to keep its citizens safe.